Okay, that should be pretty much your entire video right there. But we're going to go back and talk about it in detail. So hold on just one second. And we are talking about summarizing fictional text. Okay, basically what we're going to do is provide an objective summary of the text. That is what we're trying to do. We have to remember when we're talking about fiction, fiction equals fake. This is summarizing fictional text, which is slightly different than what we did earlier on in the year, which was summarizing nonfiction. Okay, when we're doing fictional text, we got to focus on the plot. So the summary to summarize fictional text, focus on the plot of the story. And here's an example of a little plot map, which we're going to go into more detail probably in the next week or so. Okay, but a quick overview. The exposition is going to be the introduction to the story. It's going to let us know what's going on, who our main characters are, protagonist. Usually we find out the antagonist early on too. Then we're going to have some kind of inciting incident. So something's going to happen and start this rising, building action. This is going to be most of the conflict through the story, which leads us to the climax or the crisis, and that is the change of the story. Something dramatic has happened, and it is going to switch, go to our falling action, and finally end up with the resolution. The important part with this is you have to make sure that in our summaries we include all 5 parts. Okay. Another thing you include: the title and author of the text. Identify the setting of the story, and that can be time, place, weather. If you're summarizing like a Halloween story or something like that, you're going to want to have the time. It's probably going to be night. It's probably going to be cold out. Okay, something to make it scary. It kind of helps us get into the author's mindset when he's writing the story. Identify the main characters, protagonist, antagonist, any major supporting characters. The conflict, the main conflict of the story. Determine which plot events are the most important in the story. Like I said, this is going to be a shorter version, so we can't have every single event listed, but we got to have the major ones. We at least got to have the inciting incident, a few more, maybe 1 or 2 of the rising action, and the climax definitely have to be in there. Decipher the overall mood of the story. Like I'm saying, if it's a Halloween story, it might be like scary, or I don't know. You just got to pick out the mood of the story. I can't really think of any stories right now. Alright, and consider any themes. I just read the Lorax with my son tonight, so the theme of the Lorax is greed and industrialization is bad. Okay, that type of thing is what we're looking for. We're going to combine all those details, and that's going to be the summary of our text. Alright, how long should it be? Basically, they can be about any length. Okay, 1 sentence to several pages. The amount of your summary depends on what you've read. Like I said, I read the Lorax earlier tonight. It's only probably about 20-30 pages. So that could be, I could summarize that in 1 page. I could also probably summarize it in a paragraph. Okay, but I couldn't have a 3 or 4 page paper summarizing the Lorax that anybody would want to read. Most summaries we do for this class, though, are going to be about 1 paragraph, but you have to make sure you understand how long the summary we want for each assignment. If we give you an entire page of lines to fill up, chances are it's going to be more than 1 paragraph. Alright, so you have to pay attention. We will tell you what we want, but you have to remember it. A little more music for you. Gonna go ahead and stop it there again because it covered what I wanted to say. Okay, pre-writing is important. Always pre-write before you formulate your actual summary. And remember when we're doing summarizing nonfiction, it's kind of like the same thing. We've got to make sure we know the title and the author. We have to make sure we have the main events down. And one important fact about the main events, they have to happen in the right order. We can't have the climax of the story in the first few sentences of the summary. Okay? So you got to make sure you got that chronological order laid out, and you got to make sure that you have everything in that is needed. So we got to have exposition, rising action, a couple events usually from the rising action, our exposition. I'm sorry, our exposition, our rising action. That's going to lead to the climax. Okay. After that climax, sometimes the summaries get. That climax is the main part. A lot of times after that, it's just going to be a sentence maybe for the following action, a sentence or two, and the resolution might be a sentence or two. All right. So it's really that beat, that build up, and that climax is what we're looking for. So write down the important plot information in chronological order so that everything flows smoothly. And we're going to go ahead and wrap it up and finish out one of my favorite songs right now. There we go. That's going to be our phrase that pays. Main events from start to end. Main events from start to end. Hope you enjoyed our video and have a good night.